That's just wrong because the Trinity was unknown to Jesus and unknown to Paul. It's rather like saying, what sort of software did Paul have on his computer? That's a silly question. What sort of car did Paul drive? We know that's a silly question. Perichoresis is a Trinitarian dogma, and Paul had never heard of the Trinity, certainly wouldn't have believed it. And Jesus expressly, in Mark chapter 12, agreed with a friendly Jew that God is a single, one individual.
We often have to debate, or I have to
Yes,
debate the Trinity,
yes,
but it's difficult because our opponents are arguing from post-biblical
yes.
dogmas, creeds, post-biblical councils.
Hmm.
So it's
Yes,
difficult to try to debunk something that's not found in Scripture.
yes.
I just did a debate about the two natures.
Hmm.
That's like asking, how do you refute that Christ had two natures, divine and human?
Yeah,
Well, it's not taught in Scripture. So all we can do is point to Scripture, Anthony, I
yes,
guess, and try and argue with our opponents and the audience.
yes. And you start by quoting the Shema, which is particularly brilliant in Scripture because it shows that Jesus agreed with a friendly Jew in Mark 12:29. You have a Jew who certainly wasn't a Trinitarian. Everybody knows the Jews were never Trinitarians. Ask any rabbi, consult any history book. And there in Mark 12, Mark has very cleverly presented his Jesus, the true Jesus, as in friendly dialogue with a friendly Jew on that occasion. And there's absolutely no question they're in agreement about God being one single person. So all arguments about the Trinity should always go back to the Deuteronomy 6, verse 4, where God defines who God is. Again, ask a rabbi, write to the local rabbi, ask any Jew, and they will tell you that Trinitarians and Jews are completely foreign to this very day, as of course the Muslims are. And the Muslims learned the unity of God from Muhammad. And guess where he got it from? From the Jewish scriptures, too. So it's extraordinarily bad history to start reading a completely foreign, later doctrine of the triune God into scripture when it's just not there, period. Look it up in any decent encyclopedia and you'll get all the information. If you want more, then we have a huge site, Focus on the Kingdom. Just type in the word if you're searching, search anything you want, and you will find a lot of good quotations from leading scholars. And so there's an awful lot of evidence to show that God is a single, only true God, the Father, John 17:3.
Yes,
Okay.
and there are many good books. I'll just recommend a book here,
Yes,
Anthony.
good. Please do.
So this is Harry Wolfson, a
Yes.
scholar from the 1950s, 60s, I think, and he did
Hmm.
a rather comprehensive look at the so-called Church Fathers. You should pick up, this is a Harvard Press, Philosophy of the Church Fathers, Volume
Yes.
1, Faith, Trinity, Incarnation. So I highly recommend this. It just gives you the history. He was this professor at Harvard. I
Yes.
think it was Jewish descent. He was a professor of biblical Hebrew, and he was well versed in the so-called church fathers.
Yes.
So Tertullian, Ignatius preceded the Council of Nicaea 3 AD. So that's a book you should get for this type of questions on
Absolutely.
philosophy.